Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Blaine Edwards, and today we are joined by Patrick Tobler, co-founder of NFT Maker, an NFT marketplace being built on the one and the only Cardano. So Patrick, bro, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
No worries at all. Let's dive straight in with an introduction. So can you please tell the podcast a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Patrick. I'm a computer science student from Germany, or actually I'm almost done. I actually just finished my bachelor thesis like last Monday. And yeah, I've been in the Cardano space for quite some time. I've been here since 2017, actually. I've seen the ups and downs, and I always wanted to build some stuff on Cardano. And then, last year when we finally got the Shelly era with the stake pools, I decided to start my own stake pool, just test it out. That is quite nice. I mean, it's fairly successful. I'm very happy with that.
And what's that called?
It's called Pool of Babel. So the ticker is Babel. If you want to stake and delegate, go ahead.
We'll have a link. We'll have a link somewhere for that.
Very cool. And yeah, and then I basically this year decided to not only write my bachelor thesis about Cardano, but also develop the NFT Maker, which is like a little online tool where you can upload an image, and then it basically generates an NFT for you on Cardano. And somehow I was with my co-founder, Fahim, who did the design for the website, the first real NFT minting tool, as far as I know, at least. And we've had some crazy statistics. I recently found out that almost half of all NFT policies or token policies on Cardano were made using the NFT Maker.
So interesting.
That's
kudos
cool.
To you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, and now I'm here. I'm trying to build like a company around the NFT Maker and expand it into a marketplace, and that's I guess why we have the Catalyst proposal to get some funding for that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, now I'm full-time NFT Maker.
There you go. Before we dive into the details around NFT Maker, you mentioned you've been in the Cardano space since around 2017. What drew you into Cardano? Like, I always find this quite interesting because for me, it was the idea around changing the world. Like, I think that is something that obviously all these cryptos have changing the world potential, but that seemed to be kind of pushed as a dream within Cardano, and that attracted me, was changing the world. What was the thing that drew you into Cardano back in 2017?
Yeah, for sure. It's very similar. I mean, of course, I started with Bitcoin like everyone else, and then I just wanted to get rich quick, basically with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then I discovered Ethereum and learned about smart contracts, and suddenly had like this huge explosion of thought about how you can apply that in the real world and how much impact that could potentially have. And then once you get into Ethereum, you just take a look at CoinMarketCap, scan through all the coins, look at what they do, and then most of them are of course promising great stuff but not really delivering. So I eventually ended up just looking at Cardano, listening to Charles Hoskinson, of course, with his videos, which are amazing. I've never seen the whiteboard video actually. And yeah, then I was convinced, and then I learned more about the tech and gradually got more into Cardano and only followed it from the sidelines. But then, last year was really the year for me where I realized that Cardano is the one. Like that's the world-changing cryptocurrency, in my opinion. So yeah, there's no real alternative.
Yeah, so you kind of last year, there was like a turning point where you're like, this is kind of the one that I think is going to change the world. And then you decided to kind of actually build something. So you did the stake pool and now NFT Maker. So what is NFT Maker?
Yeah, so at the moment, we call it version 1 of NFT Maker. It's basically just an NFT minting tool. So imagine you're an artist, you have like a nice image or photograph or whatever, go onto the website, click on Mint NFT, upload your image, add some details, like for example, the offer, the title, description, etc. And then you pay some ADA, like around 2 ADA or so, and then you get your NFT into your wallet, and that's it. Very, very basic. But the interesting part is, of course, what we are trying to build with it. So we want to expand from version 1 of the NFT Maker into version 2. And version 2 is hopefully going to be a completely decentralized NFT marketplace. So that's the idea. We want to focus on that, write smart contracts for decentralized auctions and trading, right? And then completely redesign the whole page, rewrite everything from scratch. I already started with that, and that's basically what I'm working on every day. And yeah, in the end, we want to have like a NFT marketplace. Like there are many on Ethereum already, just on Cardano.
Okay, gotcha. So version 1 is focused around minting NFTs. And interesting fact, I think I messaged you this. I minted my first NFT on your platform, and it was
yeah, that's amazing.
super easy. I was like, okay, I've heard of these NFTs. They sound pretty good. This website says that I can mint one, and it was a lot easier than I expected. So check out that. It's NFT-maker.io. That's the domain name. Okay, exactly. And then version 2 is kind of moving into some sort of a decentralized NFT marketplace. Does that mean there will be some sort of token eventually for this, some like sort of governance token, or how would you treat it? Like, how would that work?
Yeah, so I'm very skeptical with tokens. I think there is like a possibility to make a token, which really makes sense. We've specifically thought about having a token to basically verify credibility, like a staking system. When you do something bad and you upload like a fake NFT of someone else's art, you lose your tokens because they're locked up in a smart contract, and that way you can verify the credibility of the offer, basically. But like there have been like many people came to me and offered to do like a token launch and stuff like that, and most of them are like very much about the get rich quick thing, and they just want to make like a quick token launch, raise a few $100,000 or millions of dollars, and then maybe build something, maybe don't. And that's definitely not what I want to do. I want to focus, or we want to focus as like the 3 co-founders of the project, on building like a real platform, a real product, a real business. And then if and when we see like it fit for a token, we will of course do a token launch at some point, but not that's not one of the primary focuses at the moment.
Gotcha. And I think that's kind of interesting point to talk about, is the idea that you could create a NFT marketplace or some sort of blockchain project and there not be a token. Blockchain projects can have a token, and they could be something completely just different without some sort of currency built into it. Both of those options can exist, and both have like interesting pros and cons, probably. Like I mentioned before this podcast, my dream goal is to start a decentralized WWF. That is my dream. And I'm currently thinking that I won't have a token on there as well. It'd be some, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that, because there are risks associated with tokens as well. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out as, you don't necessarily have to have a token attached to these. It may work, it may not, and both are okay.
Yeah.
Going back to, so NFT marketplaces version 2.0. But what is an NFT? We've all heard about it. When people ask me what it is, I try and explain it simply, and then I end up kind of like confusing them. How would you define what NFT is?
NFTs are interesting because I think everyone has like a different explanation for what they are actually. And to me personally, I think that NFTs are essentially about ownership. For me, they are like digital licenses of stuff. That stuff can be like digital art or music or like real world objects like cars, houses, whatever. And in the end, like the NFT represents some sort of ownership over something. And that's also like the biggest weakness of the current NFT space, because there are many NFTs at the moment which are more like trading cards, like football trading cards. And that's of course fine and can be fun. And there is of course a huge market for football trading cards. But if you want to build something like serious and real, you need to attach some sort of license to the NFT. And that's also something we want to do with the NFT Maker, actually. So as an artist who issues an NFT, I need to be very specific about which rights are attached to that NFT. So if someone buys that NFT from me, what can they do with it? Can they actually, use the image in there and distribute it and print T-shirts with it, or can they not do anything, or can they, sell it to other people even? There are many unclear questions in that direction, and I think one of the like biggest challenges of NFTs is to make that very clear and have like different options for artists and users. And so in conclusion, that was a very long way of describing what I think about NFTs, but NFTs are about ownership and licensees.
Mm-hmm. So key word in that is ownership, and that's kind of how I think about it as well. It's all about ownership. You can tokenize stuff, you can tokenize things, and through tokenizing it as an NFT, you're able to verify ownership of that thing on the blockchain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
NFT. So you mentioned they can be trading cards, like a big use case at the moment is kind of like some sort of trading card type thing. But considering that we can tokenize many things, you said 2.0 is going to be an NFT marketplace. Do you imagine a version 3.0 or a 10.0 where you start having a marketplace where there are NFTs that are a bit more nuanced? So they may not be a trading card. They could be like a battery in a Tesla car or something like that. So like NFTs, because they obviously can be heaps of different things. Have you thought that far down the track?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I thought about attaching NFTs to real world objects, but the main thing is, as you can probably hear, I'm German, and Germany is a very difficult country to do anything, to operate in, essentially, because the law is very strict and like the rules are very strict. So it's very difficult for me to build anything that is connected to the real world without
Gotcha.
breaking any laws and stuff like that. So so I'm
That's further
pushing
down the
that
track.
further out. Yeah, exactly. I hope that politics will all accept crypto at some point. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think there are many possibilities with NFTs. I actually think that NFTs will most likely be like a part of every single decentralized application that we will see, because they have a lot of potential that most people can't even recognize, which is more like behind the scenes and not necessarily about trading cards and stuff like that. So I can totally see like a decentralized Spotify using NFTs to manage like who has access to which songs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that with Spotify, and even some sort of social media platform where wherever you post a piece of content, that content in itself is like an NFT. Perhaps like you mint that NFT automatically when you publish a piece of content, and then you can track if people share it, and if they share it, maybe you get a small slice. That like there's so many, like it's ridiculous, the potential of NFTs.
We're so early.
So early. There, even though we're early, there are a few NFT marketplaces out there, and there's a couple that are in the works. Do you have a strategy to maybe differentiate NFT Maker from the rest of them?
Yeah, I mean, there are basically two competitive fields. I think there's, of course, the marketplaces that already exist on other chains, like Rarible and OpenSea and all these, right? If they decide to move over to Cardano, it's going to be very hard for any Cardano NFT marketplace because they have millions in budget. They can basically crush every competition. They already have the users, so that's very hard. And then, of course, there's the second group, which are basically NFT marketplaces, which are building on top of Cardano right now. And like there are many, like Artano and Soulmint and some others even. And I think the main thing that will differentiate us from like all of them, like the other marketplaces and the ones that are currently being built, is actually, first of all, speed. Because that's what we've shown so far. We were one of the first NFT minting tools on Cardano, and that helped us get a lot of success. So we want to be one of the first marketplaces, and I'm committed to this full time. I'm basically doing nothing else besides working on NFT Maker version 2, and I want to get it out as soon as smart contracts launch, like very quickly after at least. And once we have it out, of course, like the next step would be to build a platform which is at least like competitive with all the other NFT marketplaces on other platforms. So we need to have like all the functionalities that other platforms have, and that's like just the next epoch goal, I guess. And that's also like hard. It's like a big task to do, right? And but after we finish that, we can then finally go and do like innovative stuff that maybe no other NFT marketplaces have yet seen. So for example, like the thing that I mentioned with the tokens that you could stake and then lock and then have some credibility score to attach to your account. That would be one of these things. Another one would be like a decentralized way of creating a DRM system, so a digital rights management system, which we often see in games, so that, for example, only the owner of that NFT has access to like a specific medium. So, for example, a specific song or a specific video or stuff like that. That's also like a very, very hard technical challenge if you want to do it in a like good decentralized way. It's very easy to do with servers and passwords and stuff like that, but not with NFTs. So these are basically the things that I want to focus on. And then, I just want to have the platform at the edge of the current NFT scene in Cardano, right? So every time we see like a new development, we want to be like very quick and maybe experiment with that, maybe do our own projects and stuff like that. So I think experimentation is like one of the key components, and I'm not sure where exactly it will lead us, to be honest, but I'm sure that it will work out.
So focusing on the fundamentals first, so that you can be kind of competitive with these other ones, but then you also want to, once you have the fundamentals down pat, you want to be a marketplace that is on the bleeding edge. I think like experimenting and kind of innovating within this space, which is evolving every single second.
That's you just said what I said in like 30 sentences in 2, so I'm very impressed.
Well, I had to pause when I said bleeding edge because I was like, is that the right phrase? I wasn't too sure. Okay, cool. And can we talk a little bit about the minting NFTs? Because I mentioned my very first NFT I minted through your platform, and it's a really simple process. Could you step through what that process looks like, how easy it is, how long it takes, how much it costs? And also, is there a possibility, like, do you just mint one at a time, or can you mint in batches? Anything around that minting process?
Yeah, so like at the moment, it's like very easy for the end user. In the end, you can just go to the website, click on mint, upload your image, then click on next, then write some additional information like title, then click on next, and then you have to pay like 4 ADA. but 2 of these 4 ADA will be sent back to you. That's like a technical requirement of Cardano, actually. It's called min UTXO. And yeah, and then you get your NFT. It's very, very easy from like a user endpoint. But there's actually something that I completely forgot to mention when you just asked me about, our differentiation to other projects. I need to get that in really quickly.
Yeah, go for it.
Because there's actually something that we're focusing on as well. So we have like the NFT Maker version 2 is split into 2 parts, into 2 components. And one of them is, of course, like the marketplace, which I'm always talking about, the NFT Maker version 2, right? And the other one is NFT Maker Pro. That's at least what we call it for now. And that will be like a back-end service for other projects, for large-scale projects who want to mint like 10,000 NFTs or 20,000 NFTs. And the idea is that these projects can use our API and our backend services to build their own white label products on top of it. And I think that's very interesting because that would allow like for very specialized marketplaces for very specific things, like just using our platform to make it as easy as possible. And yeah, and that's what I'm working on right now, actually.
Okay, so if there was some sort of another NFT marketplace, maybe they had a very niche purpose, they could tap into your infrastructure, NFT Maker.
Exactly.
Okay, and by tapping into your system, it will help them out.
Exactly, because they don't have to care about the backend infrastructure at all. We do all that for them. They just have to use our API, which is like a very simple thing to use in programming. And in fact, I'm in talks with like multiple NFT marketplaces on Cardano, which are considering to do that. So I think that is actually like a really cool thing to do. And I hope that it all works out the way I imagine it to.
Okay, so that would, like, let's say I want to start an NFT marketplace. I'm interested in conservation. I want to start one that's focused around wildlife photography. I don't know how to code the back end. There would be some way for me to link or partner with NFT Maker. I can tap into your system, kind of leverage your back end code, so I don't have to deal with that, and then I have to just deal with the front end and the rest of it.
Exactly. You only have to build like the website, and we do all the stuff in the back end.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned, so going back to what you said prior, it costs 4 ADA to mint an NFT, but then you get 2 ADA back. So on your platform, if someone goes to your website, nft-maker.io, they can mint their very first Cardano NFT for 2 ADA, essentially.
Yeah.
Is
between 1 and 2 ADA? Yeah.
Roughly around that. Is there, if someone wanted to say, let's say they had an idea and it was pretty much like a set of NFTs they wanted to produce, would they have to do mint each NFT individually, or is there a way to mint NFTs as like a batch, like as a group? If I wanted to have a set of 100 NFTs in a set, is there a way to mint them quickly as like a batch of NFTs?
At the moment, there's not. At the moment, you would have to go through the whole process like 10 times or 100 times, depending on how many NFTs you want. But of course, like that's one of the most requested features.
Is it?
So it is. It's like, okay. I've gotten like hundreds of messages about exactly that feature.
Gotcha.
So it's definitely.
But that's possible though, right? It's
possible.
Is it possible to do you still have to pay for can you save money through batching, as like let's say if I wanted to create 1,000 NFTs at once, is there a way to do that in one transaction, or do you still have to do it in a 1,000? Like
you
how does that work?
do 1,000 in one transaction. Transactions have size limits, so you can do maybe, depending on the size of your NFT metadata, like 50 or so.
Okay, so it depends on the NFT as well, like what
Yeah, exactly.
the size of it.
So
Okay.
it always depends, and yeah, you can save some money. You can especially save like the transaction costs, but you can't really save that much on the min UTXO. So the min UTXO is that the ADA that doesn't go to the network, but it goes to basically the buyer or the recipient of the NFT.
Okay.
So it's not completely lost, but it's still something you have to consider. And we of course will include batch minting in version 2.
Okay.
But here the idea is basically that we have like these two services, right? NFT Maker version 2 for artists who want to maybe mint like 10 NFTs at a time in one batch, and they can use that, and that's awesome. And then for other projects who want to mint like 100 or 1000 NFTs at a time, and they can then use the Pro tool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so interesting that you've had heaps of requests about that, because that's something that I've been thinking about a lot. So you're hoping to integrate something like that into version 2.0 in the near future. Oh,
that's
exciting!
Number one priority.
Okay. Well, that's exciting for me, because I have something that I'd love to do, and some batch minting as well. So from a selfish
that's very
perspective,
cool. I would love to have you.
Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out on that. So NFT Maker's version 2 or 1.0 at the moment. You've got a proposal up on Project Catalyst. Do you want to talk about that quickly and go into the details around, I guess, how much funds you're asking, what you're planning on doing with the funds, and the timeline and stuff like that for those that potentially keen to send some votes your way?
Yeah. So I mean, in general, this proposal is like, it's not like we're not building the NFT Maker. We will build the NFT Maker either way, if we get the funding or not. And that's maybe not the best way to say to advertise your proposal. Yeah,
you're honest,
but it's the
though.
truth. Yeah, I want to be transparent, and like I'm also like always trying to be transparent about the costs and about the earnings and stuff like that, because I think that's important. And in the end, this proposal is basically what would help us be like on a little bit more solid footing, because founding a company is very expensive in Germany, and like it's expensive everywhere, but it's also a big risk, and we have a lot of expenses, and we didn't make a lot of money with the NFT Maker actually. So we are requesting $40,000, and we will that's around 30,000 euros, because Germany and stuff. And then 1/3 of all that will probably go to taxes, because Germany takes a lot of taxes. Yeah, it is what it is. And then we end up with like, I don't know, $24,000 or so, euros also, I mean. And that will allow us to like continue doing this full time, especially me, as I'm doing this full time right now. So it's basically mostly living cost. And then it's also a little bit of marketing, of course. It will also pay for like the setting up of the company that we already founded, and like legal stuff, because there are, you have to pay a lot of lawyers and stuff like that. But truth be told, $40,000 is not a lot for a project like this. It's like barely anything. I couldn't hire like a programmer for even half a year with the whole amount of money. And I think that's something that people should be aware of, because I often read in these Project Catalyst proposals that like, oh, you want to have $40,000, that's so much money, and stuff like that. It's actually not, if you want to build like a real startup and company. And yeah, I don't know what else to add. It's basically what will allow us to do this like in a more solid way and be a bit more stable.
Yeah. And your team, so you mentioned, I think there's 3 co-founders. Is that the team that's,
Yeah,
I guess,
exactly.
turning this idea into something tangible? Is the 3 of you?
Yeah, so there's Fahim, who was also involved with version 1. He's the designer. He's like a very, very good designer, also currently working in a startup in Berlin. And then there's Peter, who's like a little bit between design and technology. He's studying Internet of Things. And
Interesting.
yeah, so he can do both, and he will do both. And then there's me, who's like focused on the technology only. And I'm basically the guy who brought them all into Cardano. And yeah.
The Internet of Things would be really interesting when eventually we start integrating these, tokenizing these physical assets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very true, actually.
yeah, down the track. Yeah, I'm really, NFT space is so early, and when you think about the idea of ownership and the fact that you can tokenize anything, and it's always kind of valuable to have clarity around ownership of things, especially if those things are valuable or part of a valuable process. That's where NFTs covered. So it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. Okay, this is probably like a somewhat strange question, but it's a question that I always find interesting. On your personal website, oh no, not on your personal website, on your Babel pool website, you've got this quote around what is the impossible. Oh no, the quote is reaching humanity's full potential by daring the impossible. So, what would be the impossible that you are, trying to overcome? I guess, like, let's just play around with that idea, like overcoming the impossible. What's that thing that you're trying to overcome? I guess.
I think, or to me, that quote is like a quote about the whole Cardano ecosystem, because
Okay.
that's kind of what it encapsulated.
Yeah,
If that's a correct word, I'm not sure. And
I think it is.
yeah, it's that's good. Yeah, I mean, like, I think every single one in like the Cardano ecosystem is participating in this huge mission to basically, bring financial services, and with that freedom, to like the whole world, because there is a very big difference between like the first world countries, second world, and third world countries. And that's very sad, because it's just about the opportunity that people get in their lives. And I want to see like the whole world on the same footing. I want to have everyone with the best possible opportunities, and I want to see like what level humanity can reach when we have fixed all this inequality, kind of. Because like if all people around the world had the same opportunities that I have here in Germany, and they are amazing, right? Then I think there would be so much more that we could achieve together, like with so many smart people who actually get to study, who actually get to work on cool projects, and who don't have to think about starving or paying their rent and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of what it needs to me.
And that seems to be like a Cardano, definitely a theme within the Cardano community, is that idea of kind of leveling the playing field. Like, I come from a sporting background, and I'm very big on playing a fair game. And at the moment, the game isn't very fair. And so if we
No, it's
can
absolutely not.
if we can make the game fairer through leveraging technology such as cryptocurrency and blockchain, then I'm 100% all about that. So yeah, that's, and I think that's based on the people I've spoken to so far, and in the Cardano community, and just listening to videos, that seems to be a fairly shared opinion about this. Is something that we're all trying to do, which is cool. That gives me goosebumps. Okay, we've got a couple more questions to go. How can I guess people connect with you and support NFT Maker?
So connecting is very easy. You can write me on all channels. I've been contacted since the launch on literally everything, even like my private phone number where I don't even know how people get it.
Oh, that's a
You
bit
can,
scary.
yeah, it is. I mean, the
Yeah.
easiest way is always Twitter. So I'm on Twitter. My name Patrick Tobler. It's very findable. Also, email is a very good place to connect. So patrick@tobler.de.
Hmm. Okay.
And supporting is like the best way to support is obviously to vote for us in the next Catalyst funding round. So in Fund 5, we're under the DApps category.
I'll add a
And
link specifically to that as well.
thank you. And yeah, and I mean the stake pool, of course. If you want to support me directly, in the end, the stake pool is what's paying my bills. So yeah, the stake pool is definitely the place to go. Stake on Babel, good
Stake on
place.
Babel. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Before I go into the last question, is there anything that you want to touch on that I haven't asked you? Or
I don't think so. I think
all
you've
good?
asked
Yeah,
almost everything that I can come up with.
cool. If we find out that we've missed something, then maybe we can get you on a second one in the future when when we've got a 2.0, maybe we can get you one for when you're at NFT Maker 2.0.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Last question, and it's probably got to be similar to when we're talking about overcoming the impossible, but this is a question that I ask everyone at the very end, and it's a general Cardano related question, and it's what excites you the most about the future of Cardano?
I think the answer is very clear on that. The thing that differentiates Cardano from all other projects is the governance. It is Project Catalyst. And while Project Catalyst at the moment has many problems, and I'm not happy, to be honest, but like the idea is brilliant. The idea has like the biggest possible impact in the future that you can think of. I mean, at the moment we have like what 2 million or 4 million in the fund, but imagine what happens when this fund gets to like 100 million, which is already reserved, right? And like 100 million would fund so many projects, and then not only like 100. Imagine what happens when it goes to like 1 billion or 10 billion or 100 billion. Then we wouldn't be talking about some random dApp like NFT Maker or stuff like that, but we would be talking about maybe building roads or building like buildings and bridges and stuff like that, real life stuff, or funding research, like really long-term research. And that's it's the closest thing we have to like a global government, I think. So my hope is that Cardano evolves through the system, and then one day we will all have like a very direct way of doing democracy through Project Catalyst. So that's what I'm most excited about by far.